Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and today I am back with day number 7 of March Madness. Today's page map sketch comes from April of 2020. I pulled out my Say Cheese collection. I have all of them mixed together, so I will be using pieces from all 4 of the collections. I'm also going to pull my title from Kellybell Designs. In their title, it's Springs Entertainment Volume Number 1, their word art. I'm going to use that Disney Springs Something Fun for Everyone. I did pull out the Say Cheese 2 paper pack. I think I'm going to pull most of it from there. I know this particular paper that has the layers on it is from the Say Cheese 1 collection because that was my absolute favorite collection. I'm kind of hoarding a lot of those papers. I really should get them in the layout. So I'm just looking through the sketch, trying to find some pieces that will match up with the sketch papers. I'm going to piece the background together so that I am not using any white cardstock. I do have a sheet of red cardstock that I'm going to have on the far right hand side, but the rest of the background pieces are going to be these pattern papers. I knew I wanted to use the black paper in the center that has all of the fun sketches of different Disney icons, and I knew that that was going to span both the left and right hand side of the layout. So once I get it cut down, I'm then going to use the red cardstock. I had an extra piece in my collection. I keep all of the simple stories together as well as any scraps that I have used in the past. So if I pulled in cardstock and I didn't use all of it, it also goes in with the collection. And that's actually for everything that I have. If I'm pulling in cardstock or other pattern paper to use with the collection, apparently I think that it goes, so it's gonna stay there. There's no reason to have the scraps in different locations. And I have enough cardstock and enough pattern paper that I don't need it to be separated from whatever collection I paired it up with. Once I got the black and the red paper down, I did decide to use a strip of the yellow and white stripes. I cut it down to 1/4 inch and added it between the black and the red to kind of cover up the seams. Over on the left-hand side, I had just 12 inches. So I actually am going to use washi tape on the back of the paper and adhere these 2 pieces of paper together to make the 12 inches. I'm going to use that same red cardstock from the right hand side, and I'm going to pull out my border punch and I'm going to cut a border to add between the black paper and the red plaid paper. This is probably one of my favorite border punches. It's like a wavy border, and I just like that look, especially when you cut it down to 1/4 inch. So once I get the adhesive on the back, I'm going to use my T-square ruler to make sure that it lines up straight in between those 2 pieces of paper. And now I have the base of my layout done, so I'm going to go ahead and lay out my photos. I did use my Canva template to put a bunch of photos on a 4x6 photo. I am going to do a tutorial on this after March Madness. I have a whole list of things that I need to get out for you guys. But if you are in my Facebook group and you want this template, I have already shared it over there. That is kind of the perk of being in the Facebook group. So if you are familiar with Canva and you feel like you can use the templates, make sure that you've joined my Facebook group. It is linked below and you can get that template there. And then I will have the instructions on how to create your own in a future video. I did decide to back all of the photos on a white cardstock, and then I am going to add 2 of the photos in a flip flap. For these particular photos, this was a date that I was on at Disney Springs, and that particular day they had a bunch of like backdrops, which they do that often, and I wanted to take pictures with all of them. My date was not so much into it, so he got in with one of them, but he didn't get in with the others. So I am going to put that photo of the date down flat to the layout, but I am going to have the flip-flops on top of it. I went on a few dates with him. It didn't work out, but I love all these photos, and that was a particular day that was in my life. And even though that person's not in my life anymore, doesn't mean that that day didn't happen, and I feel like I still should have it documented. That is one way that I maybe add people that are no longer in my life on my layouts. I'll have them in the photo, maybe one photo, but the other photos that were a part of that day will be on top of them with flip-flops, or maybe I'll make that particular photo smaller, things like that. But I still feel like this needs to be documented because We had some amazing food. We had some amazing drinks. I was able to take a ton of silly photos in the teacup that's in one of the stores. And if you have never been to Disney Springs, it is definitely worth the trip if you are down here visiting Magic Kingdom or any of the Disney parks. Definitely spend a day at Disney Springs. There's lots of shopping, amazing food, lots of different things that can be done at Disney Springs. So I did pull out the Titlelit Springs from Kellybell Design and I cut it out. I did want it a little bit larger because it was going to be a focal point for my title. I did use the Silhouette Design Studio to cut off the For Everyone so that I could pop it up on my title. And then I also did the same thing with some of the stars. I was able to pull it from the title itself and then printed them out separately so that I could add them on top. I do have 3 stars that I'm going to pop up with the foam adhesive, as well as that For Everyone I'm going to pop up with the foam adhesive. I really like using the word art from Kellybell Designs to create my own special embellishments. I feel like the dimension that the foam adhesive gives to these word arts just sets them apart. I also did decide to ink all of the edges, and I feel like that also gives it a little bit of extraness as well. So I'm just using some Scrapbook.com foam adhesive and my reverse tweezers to get these little tiny stars down. And then I'm going to add my word art over on the left-hand side of the layout where the sketch calls for. This particular embellishment here, I've had in my embellishment book forever, I feel like. Several years ago, I want to say it was actually during COVID. Scrapbook Generations was doing this like online crop thing, and one of the things was to make your own embellishment clusters, and they had some sketches that you could use to create these embellishment clusters, and that's when I created that. I was like, oh, that would be a good idea. Let me put some of my Disney embellishment clusters together. I have used a couple of them. I think I made a total of 5, but I felt like this was a perfect piece over on the left-hand side, and then I thought, well, why don't I make another one that's kind of similar to it over on the right? So what I'm doing is taking a larger piece like that viewfinder, and I'm going to add some banners behind it. This particular banner piece, I think, came from Say Cheese collection. I believe it was Say Cheese 1, and it was just a stack of tabs. I think it was actually designed for people who document in planners, but I have used those banners on a ton of different things. I did, of course, adhere it to my mat because, you know, that's what I do often, and I've just accepted that. Once I got the majority of the base down, I went ahead and added it to my layout. I did add a adhesive brad to the center of it, and then I'm just going to start building up the cluster around it. I added a tag at the top that says having a blast, and then I also added a tag that's going to hang off of it. And it's in the same pattern that's over on the left-hand side of the layout. I found this bingo card. I thought that would be cool to add to the top of the cluster. And then I pulled out these Mickey head blings, and I'm going to add a bling to the top right-hand side of that cluster. And it's actually kind of difficult to get a Mickey head to shape properly. So I did have to play around with that for quite a bit, trying to get it back into the actual Mickey head shape. Once I got the bling down, I then found a little flag banner that has a Mickey head and some blue stripes. I felt like the blue stripes tied in the blue grid paper that's over on the left-hand side. The banner pieces weren't laying down correctly, so I decided to pull up the bling pieces that were underneath it. And then since I had them up, I was like, well, why not add them around the layout? So I just found some places to add the pieces that I pulled up. I added the sunglasses puffy sticker over to the far left. If you remember from my layout the other day, I tried to get those sunglasses on another layout. So I'm super excited that I was able to get it on this one. And then I added a little starburst over on the right-hand side. And then I felt like I needed a cluster down in the bottom left-hand side. So I started with this sweatshirt or hoodie that is red and white stripes that has a black heart on it. And I'm going to put that up on Fun Foam and add it over to the left. I then found a little tag that says magic. I'm going to add that down. I decided that I'd go ahead and adhere the hoodie down, and then I found a flare that is Mickey's hand. So I went ahead and added that down, and behind that I tucked a little ticket. Of course, I had to use my spatula tool to pull up the pieces that I had already added down because, you know, I don't ever do anything in the correct order. And then I finally added a small brad to that cluster as well. And then that is it for this video. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. I did do my journaling offline, and it says, "There's something magical about the atmosphere at Disney Springs. Live music fills the air, creating a lively ambiance that encourages laughter and conversation, which makes it a great place for a date. Disney Springs truly offers a delightful blend of experiences that cater to every taste and interest." And then I also added the date up to the top right cluster. All right, if you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.